What's going on, everybody? This is Scott Hewlett, owner of House of Heat Pro Wrestling, and you guys are locked in to Beyond Ringside.
I am Mr. 1985, Bubba Cagle, and I'm locked in to Beyond Ringside.
One of these days, I'm going to pay myself overtime. Yeah, that never works out. I want to say greetings, good evening. How you doing? Welcome to Beyond Ringside Live. Let's say it. The Shooters Gallery is on the air. Home of the Vocal Illuminati on this 8th day of April. Just after 2 in the Central Time Zone, just after lunch on the West Coast, and they're probably still eating, you bastards. From the undisclosed location, also referred to as Studio 35, yours truly, Fast Eddie Layne, being joined by tag team partners over in the Peach State, the promoter, the trivia master, and so much more. He is Shane Noles.
Greetings and salutations, everyone.
Welcoming in tag team partner all the way up there in the right-hand corner of the country from beyond the red zone. And I can never remember the first half of this, but the man who's behind the voice of the Tarp Skunks, one of my new favorite baseball teams. He is the voice, Ted Guinness.
We got to get you a hat, man. Have you seen our hats?
No, I have not.
Oh, we got the Miami Marlins circa 1997 version with the Skunks logo. That's my personal favorite, or the all black.
First off, thank you to everybody tuning in through BeyondRingside.com, ProWrestlingRadio.net, all the different methodologies that are available, and for those who actually paid attention to the graphic that I posted on social media late last night, early this morning. Yes, I'm actually working to get those things back up, running, and straightened out. It's just taking time. Bear with me. It has been a upside-down week. I don't know where to begin. I really don't. I will go ahead and sit back and say, for those who caught us last week, yes, I totally blew it when I was so high on Illinois. Brand new national champions in the form of the Michigan Wolverines. Am I not correct on this one, Shane Noles?
You are indeed. And as someone who had the Arizona Wildcats as their champion, Michigan didn't just beat Arizona in the Final Four. They throttled them.
Yeah.
Hail to the victors, I guess, for Michigan here. Just a couple of things. They scored 90 points or more in 5 consecutive tournament games. Kudos to UConn for holding them to 68. But if UConn had just shot better, they might have won this thing. But, hey, Michigan plays defense too. Two things that stick out to me are a couple of things. Michigan went 19-1 in Big Ten conference play and finished with a record of 38-3, undisputed national champions. They are the first, I'm sure they won't be the last, national champion in college basketball whose entire starting 5 was all transfers to win a national title. We know the game, how it is played nowadays. But congrats to Dusty May, the coach who took little old Florida Atlantic to the Final Four 3 years ago. Now he's a national champion by virtue of winning at Michigan.
Nice. Ted, have you had a chance to keep up with everything going on over there?
Not really. I mean, as far as like the college basketball and everything, although I will give a lot of credit out to Michigan for winning the national championship. It's the best Michigan has looked since they had the Fab Four, Chris Webber with the unfortunate timeout call way back in the late 80s, early 90s. Which, by the way, Weber, the number 1 pick for the Golden State Warriors, who ended up probably damaging the franchise for 15 years after he arrived and left.
I will ask the question, who right now is envious of, and can we utilize the term, as in baseball, you're going to have Ohtani money. In football, are we now going to have Cousins money? Leaving the Falcons, heading way out there, and taking all that money with him. He's going to get paid from how many different teams now?
Butt ton.
Go with it, Tedrick.
At least 4. if I'm not mistaken, at least four. He's got the team. I forgot who he was with before the Vikings, but he's got them on the hook. He's got the Vikings on the hook. He's got the Falcons on the hook, and now he's got the Raiders on the hook. Although his contract structure, thank you. Although his contract structure is a little bit different, he gets the league veteran minimum from the Raiders this year and a $10 million signing bonus in 27 on the third day of the league year. So really it's an $11 million deal front loaded. It's a league veteran minimum, which I think is a great move on the Raiders' part, especially with all the free agency that they've already done in their salary cap, going from the second most available in the league to almost up against the wall. I just hope they have enough money to sign other draft picks. But yeah, again, that $10 million comes off the 27 salary cap, which is going to be a minimal hit. So, I mean, overall, you get a veteran quarterback in the league, still with talent who can play the game, unlike Geno Smith. You have someone who was forced. Now, let's go back to the NFL draft a couple of years ago. We were actually doing covering the draft on Beyond Ringside. And at that point, when the Falcons had number 6, the Raiders had number 8, the Falcons had already signed Kirk Cousins. I was fully expecting Michael Penix Jr. to be a Las Vegas Raider. I want to thank the Falcons for helping us dodge that landmine. But Cousins went into that situation thinking he was going to be the starter. Now, all of a sudden, he's going to be the starter/coach mentor for a quarterback. He didn't want that situation. The Raiders gave him that opportunity and said, look, this is what we're going to do. You're going to be our bridge quarterback from the start of the season to whenever Fernando Mendoza is ready to go, be it, week 14 if you completely suck and have crapped the bed, or be it at the start of the 2027 season when you get your $10 million signing bonus and you can go on to another team. And I think, this is definitely on a prove-it deal. And if you're going to do a prove deal in the NFL, name me another team that has done more to improve their situation going from a 3-win team with an absolutely absent offense and a defense that could not plug a hole to save their life. Now, all of a sudden, you have completely flipped your defensive starting crew. You got Max Crosby back on a trade where you thought he was going to be. Now you have him. That is a great problem to have. The amount of holes on that defense have shrunk down to maybe needing another linebacker, maybe needing another cornerback, maybe needing another safety. On the offensive side of the ball, you have a lot of different options now. You can, if you don't have enough money to sign all of your draft picks, you have enough draft capital to go after a good B-tier slot type receiver, WR type receiver for Cousins to throw to complement the dual threat of tight ends that the Raiders currently have in Bauer and Mayer. If they can get both those guys on the field at the time, show a 2 tight end set with Ashton Genty and another running back in the backfield, this is going to be a dangerous team. This is going to be, I think what you're going to see with Clint Kubiak too this year is you're going to see a modification of a West Coast offense. You're going to see rules in this offense that you haven't seen before. And if they are able to execute those and catch teams off guard, and have like a 2 or 3 week lead time between game film and when teams figure out to stop option A, then you move to option B. This has gone from a team that went from winning 3 games last year to just after day 1 of free agency, I've projected to go to 8. I see their ceiling being possibly as high as 11 wins and a wild card berth in the playoffs.
Shane Knowles, come on in.
I'm going to piggyback a lot what Ted said. I've always been a Kirk Cousins believer. I think it's funny among the 3 of our teams, a lot of quarterback shuffling. The Miami Dolphins, for me, get Malik Willis. Eddie Layne's Atlanta Falcons get Tua Tagovailoa. Pedrick's Raiders get Kirk Cousins. A little bit of shuffling here among quarterbacks of our favorite teams, Malik Willis notwithstanding. But the thing about Cousins, the whole situation with Penix, he tore The Achilles, he wasn't right when he came back. When Penix got hurt and Cousins came back fully healthy, the Atlanta Falcons won the last 5 games of the 2025 season, and Cousins looked good doing it fully healthy. I love this as a bridge, as Ted said. If Mendoza, I'm always a fan of not throwing the number 1 pick, the quarterback, to the Wolves right away. We know Mendoza was a winner in college, both the Heisman and the national championship, but this means he doesn't have to do it right away. And Cousins can show him the ropes of Kubiak's offense. You know, as far as a receiver, I keep seeing this in mocks, and take it for what you will, but the Raiders keep being linked to early round 2 Omar Cooper, the wide receiver from Indiana, and I love that because we've seen it work with Tua and Jalen Waddle. We've seen it work with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. I like the idea of linking a receiver he had in college that has a natural chemistry to come in. And Kirk Cousins loves him some tight ends. If you go back to the Washington days with Vernon Davis, Minnesota with T.J. Hawkinson, Kyle Pitts certainly looked good under Kirk Cousins this year in Atlanta. So that gives me a lot of hope for Brock Bowers and Max Mayer. But to Ted's point, I liked what the Raiders did last year. It didn't work going in. I love what they've done this year for one reason. Outside of Cousins, who is on the older side, this time around, the Raiders did not sign guys that were on their 3rd or possibly 4th deals. They signed guys that have been studs, that have been in the league 4 years, catching them young, like Lindbaum, the center from the Ravens, Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker, respective linebackers from the Eagles and the Packers, coming in to join Crosby. They re-signed Stokes at corner. And the main thing about it, the Raiders will play. We just saw this with New England, and I'm not trying to make the comparison, but maybe I am. The Raiders are playing a last-place schedule coming into this season with all those improvements. That can benefit you. Hello, Patriots. And 2, Patrick Mahomes, is he going to be ready at the beginning of the season? Bo Nix, is he going to be ready at the beginning of the season? So looking at that division, under Cousins, these improvements, what if the Raiders were able to get out to a 3-1 start while those other teams are waiting on Nix and Mahomes to get ready or get ramped up to speed? I like what I see here. I like it. Certainly Kirk Cousins is, I think, negotiating as his own agent, and as you guys alluded to, getting paid from 4 different teams. I would hire him to run my agency because that man knows how to grab the bag.
Tedrick, you look like you're ready.
Oh, did I unmute?
Now you're unmuted.
Yeah, I did. Okay. Yeah. Just making sure. I mean, yeah, you know, the key linchpin to this whole free agent draft or this whole free agent signing period was Tyler Linderbaum, because you needed a top shelf quality anchor in the center of the line that can build around him and especially protect the quarterback that's behind him. So I think, you know, the fact that the Raiders went out, and a lot of people say, oh, they overspent on Linderbaum. Well, here's the thing. When you suck for 23 years, guess what? There's something called a suck tax. And that's exactly what the Raiders did. They paid the suck tax. And maybe next year they won't have to pay a suck tax because they might actually be really good. As far as the schedule goes, I mean, early on, you're going to have Mahomes, who is going to be questionable. You're going to have Bo Nix, who's going to be questionable. I'm not sure how lethal the Los Angeles Chargers are with the move that's been going on with them. They're kind of a wait and see, although you can't discount Justin Herbert. The thing that really benefits the Raiders, too, is, you know, I don't think they get swept by the AFC West this year. I think they're going to be competitive. They might split the AFC West 1-1 for every team. But then they've got teams like the Saints. They've got teams like the Titans, teams that are struggling for an identity just like they have been. They're not on the same level after the free agency, and I don't think they're going to be on the same level after the draft. I mean, right there, you can pencil in 6 wins, and then I'm sure if you went team by team for the rest of them, I'm sure you could probably pick out 3 to 5 other games that, you know, maybe they're not guaranteed to win, but they could win.
I'm just curious to see how all this is going to shake out, because originally, and listening to what you said a little while ago and what we've all three said, if these moves do come into play, and take off the way we hope they are. So this is basically looking at the Raiders possibly being greater than a 500 team. But what would be that minimum scale right now for you to sit back and say that this whole experiment has been a success so far? 500 or better? Or close to 500?
8 wins. I think 8 wins is a realistic benchmark to say that Spytek and Brady have figured out a formula, and then let's see what happens next year. Anything over that is just gravy. And it might actually, here's the thing too, if Cousins has an MVP type performance this season, not saying that he will, but just on the hypothetical that he does, do you make an effort possibly to re-sign him for a couple of more years? And then what Mendoza? You might actually generate a quarterback controversy where none exists right now.
Shane?
Yeah, and I want to say the schedule. We don't know the dates and the times. That will be, of course, released next month. But for the Raiders, their home opponents are the Broncos, the Chiefs, and the Chargers, as well as the Bills, the Dolphins, the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Titans. I think the Raiders' season will be made on how they travel, because there's a lot of good winnable games on the road. Of course, the aforementioned Broncos, Chiefs, and Chargers. But road games with the Cardinals, with the Browns, with the Saints, with the Jets, and then with the Patriots and the 49ers. If the Raiders can manage to hammer out about a 5-3 or 6-2 on the road, that's a playoff team, because I think they can certainly go 500 at home or better. But I think the big thing, and I mentioned it, this free agency period, they went out and got studs that other people wanted. Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean, Lindbaum, those were all ranked in the top 12 of the top 150 free agents. The Raiders weren't getting veterans on discount deals, which has been the norm sometimes. Hello, Geno Smith. And I know Cousins is in that same realm, but Cousins is better than Geno Smith. And yes, to Ted's point, the what-if factor here with Bo Nix and Patrick Mahomes coming off of injuries, what if he's just Kirk Cousins? He's out there spiraling a couple of touchdowns a game. The Raiders are moving the ball efficiently. And all this, to me, opens up things where we haven't mentioned him. Ashton Jeanty, who somehow managed to get a 1,000-yard rushing season as a rookie with no semblance of an offensive line. I think about 85% of his yards came after contact. With an improved line, with better weapons, a better quarterback, he could flourish, because I think Jeanty does have that Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley in the first few years of their career, explosive type potential out of the backfield.
The question for me is, as Cousins has now left my Falcons and my Titans are still trying to figure out which way is up, I think they're about 3 years away from figuring what direction that is, by the way. I really have to sit back and go, with everything else coming into play. And then, of course, God, let's see, Shane, with Tua leaving your Dolphins, I know that you exhaled when that occurred. It's just the overall scenario for me is like, when you have situations in play that look like they can be beneficial, or that look like they could be the bottom getting ready to fall out, I just really hope the Falcons had a clue on a contingency plan, because what happens day one, look, the Tagovailoa experiment for Atlanta is going to be a success if Tua throws at least 2, and Atlanta is, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't,
I just want to jump in on it. As we've said, the rest of that Falcons team, with the defense, with Pitts, with Drake, with Bijan Robinson, and now Brian Robinson at running back, everything on the Falcons is geared to win the NFC South.
Right.
It's just going to be under center, which unfortunately is the most important position on the field.
That's like saying you're geared up to, considering the NFC South every once in a while, what that part of the division is comprised of. That's like saying I'm going to win a national championship at putt-putt. Because, I mean, think about it. Although teams like Tampa Bay, okay, fine. They elevated. It's the rise and fall. It's that wave pool theory in my book for the NFC South. The Falcons have been hit or miss. The Saints have been more miss than hit. Carolina is like, and then, of course, you have the ebb and flow with Tampa Bay. So, legitimately speaking, I just want to see what happens. You're right. The balance of the team looks like it's suited up to actually win the NFC South. And if they're going to be more than competitive in that regard, I'm okay with it. Division championships mean about the same as buy one, get one free at Crystals sometimes. And which actually says
not in the NFC South.
Go ahead.
Division championships in the NFC South is the only way the NFC South ever seeds the playoffs. And if you're the Atlanta Falcons, you might as well up the Mary Jane Watson philosophy from the last Spider-Man movies. Expect to fail because then you won't be disappointed. And that's exactly what you're going to have to do with Tua as your quarterback. You're not signing a guy who can run an offense. You're signing a guy who's one hit away from being a marshmallow.
Yeah.
His head is so scrambled, you could make an omelet if he cracked his head on the sidewalk. So
there's a Waffle House joke I'm not going to make right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there's nothing about the Atlanta Falcons that screams legitimate title contender. There's nothing about them that screams legitimate chance to even win the division and make the playoffs. This is a team that over the last 5 years have found ways to lose games in the last 2 minutes in such spectacular fashion.
Stay out of my playbook.
Starting with the Super Bowl against the Patriots.
Stay out of my playbook.
That their identity is like, I don't know. There was a kid's book way back, in the maybe 60s, but I read them in the late 70s, called Amelia Bedelia.
Okay.
And no matter what she did to try to make things right, everything was wrong. And that's exactly what the Atlanta Falcons are. They are the Amelia Bedelia of the NFL until they prove otherwise. And with Tua as your quarterback, even as an option, even if you open, I think they've come out and said he's going to start. But even if there is a quarterback competition, dude's a marshmallow. And, not only are you going to have to put him in a red jersey practice field, you're going to have to put him in one of those inflatable bubble wrap bubbles. So if he takes a hit, he's protected, 6 ways from Sunday. Explain to me where I would be wrong in this assessment.
And folks, at this point in time, I would like to thank Ted Guinness for officially saying that Tua Tagovailoa is going to be the MVP of the league, and basically the Atlanta Falcons are going to win the Super Bowl this coming season.
Right.
Hang tight for a second.
I would just like to say, real quick, out of all the players that wear that special helmet, Tua Tagovailoa should be case study number one. His refusal to wear it baffles me. His refusal that the team he plays for or the league he plays for doesn't get mandatory with his concussion history.
You realize we could go another 30 just on that one right there. But I have to do it, folks. We're going to take a quick one. The three of us shall return in just a moment. Hang tight. Beyond Ringside Live continues right after this.